Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's devlog of the Outbound Ghost. If you've never seen the game before, it's an adventure RPG inspired by Paper Mario in terms of its visuals and story structure, but the gameplay is inspired by Undertale. As you might know, the Kickstarter for the game released about 10 days ago, and at the time of this recording, the game is already 169% funded, so that's pretty insane. I'm so excited about the success of the campaign because it means that I can essentially work on the game full time, and if we reach 200% funded, then I'll be able to get the game on PlayStation and Xbox as well. The Switch and Steam versions are already confirmed, so if that interests you, make sure to check out the link in the description. Also, speaking of the Switch version, I've got some interesting stuff to show regarding that and the Steam demo at the end of the video, so make sure to stay until the end to catch that. Anyways, the first thing I'm going to go over today is how a character is created in the game. Some of the top Kickstarter tiers involve creating your own NPC or side quest, so I thought it would be interesting for many of you to see how I actually do this for the character designs in the game. I'll go over the process with a character that has changed quite a bit, which is Michael. Some of you that have been watching the devlog since the beginning might know that the Outbound Ghost was originally a top-down pixel art game, and before evolving into the signature Paper Mario style look that it has now, it was a 3D pixel art game as well. It wasn't until October of 2020 that Clayzilla came in as a freelance artist and the game got its signature look. So currently, Michael looks like this, and he has a very expressive personality that really demands attention. But when I first designed his character, he looked like this. He was a bit more drab and had no fedora. However, he still had his character-defining obsession with detectives and mysteries. You can see here in the second iteration of the game, so the 3D pixel art one, he needs to obtain his detective diary to ascend to the afterlife. Near the development of the Outbound Ghosts, I created characters through assigning them a personality trait and a need. So in this case, his personality trait is that he liked detectives, and his need was that he needed his detective notebook in order to ascend. As you can imagine, this is kind of a really basic way of writing a character. It not only made the writing bland, but overall it really dragged down the story. I think it's very difficult to write a compelling character if all they think about is one thing. So because of that, I eventually added more layers to the character's so-called descriptions when creating them. And I of course also went through the already existing characters to make them fit with that as well. And these descriptions adhere to traditional character writing methodologies. So each character has a want, a stake, a need, a lie, and a ghost. The want is what a character, wants. This pushes the story forward and informs all of the decisions they make. So in Michael's case, he wants to solve the murder mystery of Outbound serial killer. The stake is what will happen if the character doesn't achieve their goal. For Michael, this is the fact that he will be stuck in purgatory forever as a ghost, and this applies to every character in the game. If they cannot fix what was wrong or incomplete with their past life, then they cannot ascend. The last point I'm going to go over is the need. And it's kind of like the want, but the character doesn't fully realize that this is actually what they want as opposed to their need. I'm not going to say what this is for Michael since this spoils some backstory that you learn later in the game, but I think you will all like it. But as a really basic example, imagine you're writing a pirate story and they're all trying to find treasure, and then turns out the treasure is the friends you find along the way, So they were trying to get something which is the treasure, but what they actually needed is their friends. The lie and the ghost of the characters also feed into this dynamic of the character not really knowing what they want, so you can really imagine how this leads to more developed characters. As I said before, the needs and the wants of each character in the first and second iterations were merged into one. So in a way, each character only had one dimension to them. But now that I have these 5 descriptors, it's almost as if each character is 5 times more complex, and hence it uplifts the story. You just get much more emotional moments. I'm really happy that I decided to research more conventional writing methodologies because without stumbling across something like this, the game as a whole would have really been a different and much worse experience. So if you just started writing your first story, be that for a game, a book, or a screenplay, I really recommend you look into this sort of stuff, and it really helped me at least. Something else I wanted to touch upon in this devlog was an absolutely insane bug I stumbled across. And just to give you a bit of context, this is what it looks like in the game. It's courtesy of Crafter Saves on my Discord server, and by the way, the description has a link to that. It looks kind of basic, right? But the behind the scenes of it is really crazy. So let me break it down for you. So all of the cutscenes in the Outbound Ghost are created through spreadsheets in this custom system I created. As you can see, you don't only have text, but also custom tags that trigger events. So in this example, the partner up tag at the end makes it such that a character goes from being a static NPC to being a partner. So the issue was that some tags make use of decimal numbers as parameters. So for example, you can make the character jump 2.5 units, walk to a certain point in 1.5 speed, or rotate the camera by 5.6 degrees. If this worked normally, it shouldn't be a problem, right? It at least worked well on my PC, so it was really hard to really pinpoint what caused the issue seen in Crafter Sys's recording. Well, it turns out that not all computers were reading these decimal values as decimal values. What was happening is that instead of reading 2.5, it read 25, or instead of 1.5, it read 15. So it was basically ignoring the decimal point, but just in really random computers, so there was no real correlation as to their architecture, or their graphics card, or anything. I did a lot of thinking, and eventually I realized, wait, all of these people reporting the bug are from Central Europe. They came from Spain, the Netherlands, Germany, and Italy. Initially I didn't think anything of this since I'm Spanish as well, and my computer also has Spanish on it. However, the main system language of my computer is English, and that is important because in the US and the UK, decimal points are denoted by points. In those other countries I mentioned, they are denoted by commas instead. Basically what was happening was the decimal points were being ignored as decimal separators for Central Europeans, and hence these values were blown out of proportion. So going back to Crash6's video, what's going on here is that the camera is supposed to be moving by 2.2 units to the left, but instead it's moving by 22. And if people with this bug went too far into the demo, they would have really insanely fast characters and stuff like that. This really took some insane head scratching, but I'm really happy that I managed to figure it out in the end. I hope you guys like the insight into this sort of little bug hunting quest. I think it really illustrates how insane some bugs in game developing can be. The last thing I want to touch upon in this week's devlog is that next week I'm going to be showing off part of the game's demo running on Switch. I haven't made a Switch build of the game in a while, even though I have a dev kit, but now that the Kickstarter mayhem has subsided a bit, I finally got the time to do that. I think it'll be a really interesting video, so make sure to come back next Friday and you'll be able to watch it right here. I also wanted to thank you all for supporting the Kickstarter. As I said, we're at 169% and we're so close to our other console stretch goals. So I would really appreciate it if you checked out the page, even if you don't have anything to back. It would be really cool even if you just sent it to a friend you think would find it interesting. Lastly, this weekend, the game is going to be at DreamHack Beyond. So if that interests you, I've set some link in the description about that. Anyways, that's it for this week's devlog, and I'll see you all next Friday. Hope you liked the video.